evening. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United
States of America,
and to the republic which it stands, one nation,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Days.
Here.
Councilmember Dunaway.
Present.
Councilmember Fitch.
Here.
Councilmember Gray.
Present.
Councilmember Clancy.
Here.
Councilmember TRAKAS.
Present.
Councilmember Harder. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we proceed, I wanted everyone to know that this evening I'm logging on to the council meeting from the St. Louis County Emergency Operations Center. Just a few moments ago, I had the opportunity to walk around the facility and talk with some of the hardworking teams who've learned to call this place a second home over the past few weeks. The dedication of the people who are battling this pandemic on the front lines are what's protecting our ability to make cherished memories with our loved ones for years to come. The workers at the Emergency Operations Center are a pride of St. Louis County. I want to remind everyone to make their jobs and the jobs of other first responders a little easier by playing your part to slow the spread of this virus. Stay home, wash your hands, call your loved ones, and if you do need to leave the house, wear a mask. Thank you to everyone who is sacrificing in order to lead us through this crisis. I'd like to make a motion for approval of the journal of April 7th, 2020.
So moved. Councilwoman Gray.
Is there a second?
Second. Councilwoman Days.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The April 7th, 2020 journal is approved. We have no bid openings this evening, so we will move to communications.
Madam Chair, we have no tax compromises this evening, so we will move to zoning matters. Under zoning matters, item number 1, 2nd District.
Receive and file. So ordered.
Item number 2, 3rd District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 3, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Madam Chair, there are no road and bridge matters this evening, so we'll move to other communications. Item number 1.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 2.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 3.
Receive, file, and the appropriation transfer be approved as requested. Is there a second?
Second. Councilwoman Gray.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4, 7th District.
Receive, file, and the deposit agreement and subdivision plat be approved as recommended.
Second by Fitch.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5, 6th District.
Receive, file, the deposit agreement and subdivision plat be approved as recommended.
Second, Councilman Harder.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6.
Receive, file, and the appropriation transfers be approved as requested.
Second. Councilwoman Gray.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 7.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 8, Second District.
Receive, file, the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation and the appropriate transfer be approved as requested.
Second, Councilwoman Days.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 9.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation to conform with the amended request, and that will
Item number 10.
please drop from the order of business, and that will be the order. Please read the add-ons.
Under Other Communications, item number 1, 7th, 3rd, and 6th districts.
Receive and file.
So ordered.
Item number 2.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 3.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order. All right, report of the county executive. The county executive was unable to make it this evening. He has shared some remarks, which I will read on his behalf into the record. Dear council members, I was invited to participate tonight in a virtual town hall meeting sponsored by the St. Louis County NAACP focusing on equity and COVID-19. In my absence from the county council meeting tonight, I'm submitting a brief written report. As the COVID-19 virus continues to take its toll on our community, we know that those impacted the most are African Americans and those with chronic medical problems. For too long, segments of our population have been left behind. We cannot let this be another one of those times. In a letter to the council today, I asked for legislative action to authorize the establishment of a special fund to retain and appropriate monies received through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security CARES Act. Spending of these federal funds will be invested in addressing the public health, humanitarian, and economic crises facing the county today as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, there should be a special emphasis placed on spending these funds in a manner that addresses the needs of vulnerable and underserved populations. My administration has been working on several fronts to eliminate these inequities. Our Department of Public Health is working with a newly formed regional response team led by Dr. Jason Purnell, professor in the Brown School at Washington University and director of Health Equity Works. Response team includes more than 40 nonprofits, social service agencies, and governments. As well, our health department has full-time outreach to our long-term health care centers and dialysis centers to link them to PPE and to testing. Our Human Services Department has obtained hotel space for our unhoused residents and for those who cannot safely isolate from their families. The department has converted the North County Recreation Center into a shelter for our homeless so that they can reduce their risk of exposure to the virus and can be connected to treatment if they become ill. Tonight, I've also asked for an appropriation of $7 million from the Health Fund to the special COVID-19 budget appropriation for the Department of Public Health. These funds, which we expect to be reimbursed by the CARES Act monies, will be used to purchase testing supplies and help us further determine specific needs of the community. We are in unprecedented times, and we must move swiftly to address a virus that has taken the lives of 50 of our residents and infected more than 1,800 others. And we know it will strike many more of us with the surge yet to come. Working together, we can help curb this virus, save lives, help our residents meet their basic needs, and revive our economy. Thank you. There is no report of special committees. We will move on to public forum. Before we get started on our public forum, I want to remind everyone of our new procedure for participating in the public forum during this public health emergency and our ensuing need to conduct our meetings virtually. This is all detailed on the homepage of the St. Louis County Council website. Only comments submitted to councilcomments@stlouisco.com on the day in which the meeting is being held, at least an hour before the meeting set to start, will be recorded into the public record. Email must contain your name and physical address. Email must be 400 words or less, which is the equivalent of 3 minutes of verbal communication, which is the same allotment that we allow per person during normal meetings. The administrative director or designate will read your comment out loud during the meeting, and it will be recorded into the journal. And again, please keep in mind that when submitting these comments electronically, you are still expected to uphold the same standard of decorum that we expect during a regular in-person meeting. I want to thank everyone for their participation. With that, Madam Clerk, please read the comments tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening we have 13 public comments. Our first one is from Virginia Lechner, 7245 Christopher Drive, Oakville, Missouri. It has come to the neighbors' attention this property at 7190 Christopher Drive, 63129 is going to be used as a for-profit medical facility. This is clearly against all zoning regulations. We need your help to stop this from happening before it starts. The subject property sits in the middle of a long-time residential community. Please let me know your findings. Thank you. William Means, 827 Parkcrest Drive, Apartment D, St. Charles, Missouri. My name is William Means. As the email title states, and the subject of his email is Employee Compensation and Benefits During State of Emergency question. I would like to have some clarity on this issue. I work for the Department of Justice Services at the Justice Services Building as a correctional officer. We are essential employees. Per our administration, Justice Services is under SOE Class 10. During this state of emergency, all vacation time previously submitted and requested is now denied, and further, any absences are considered PTO. I was sent home on March 24th and again on March 25th per the checkpoint nurse. I was told by my supervision that I will have to use PTO and not be covered by the executive order that states, quote, there will be no impact to PTO, sick/vacation, or health insurance for any SOE class of employee who complies with work requirements and therefore remains in paid status, end quote. I complied with my work requirements. I would like to know why am I being subjected to use vacation time when it states it should be paid time on 2 days I came to work and was sent home per the checkpoint nurse. Our next comment is from Celeste Witzel, 3116 Southridge Park Lane, St. Louis, Missouri. Never did we think we would see the type of leftist behavior and policies demonstrated on both coasts in the U.S. practiced in our own St. Louis County. But yet, here we are. Under the regime of Sam Page and Lisa Clancy, employees of certain local businesses, including Joann's Fabrics and Hobby Lobby, were targeted to either close or face being jailed. You heard that correctly. They were threatened with jail. Never mind that several of the businesses and employees targeted by Page and Clancy for arrest and jail were providing free fabric to the public to sew face masks for use by our local doctors, nurses, and first responders. But these generous efforts by our local businesses are apparently not in keeping with the leftist agenda of Sam Page and Lisa Clancy. Unbelievably, Page and Clancy would rather lock up private business owners and employees who were donating fabric to citizens to sew face masks to help keep our healthcare workers safe. And even more unbelievably, Page and Clancy would rather release dozens of prisoners of questionable health from jail who could easily spread the deadly coronavirus to the larger St. Louis community. Were all of these prisoners tested for COVID-19 before they were released from jail? Threatening to jail businesses that are contributing to the safety of the community is pathetic and senseless. At the same time, releasing prisoners of questionable health during a pandemic is a potential deadly community health disaster and is a pitiful and thoughtless action by Sam Page and Lisa CLANCY. It is becoming blatantly obvious that there is no competent leadership in St. Louis County. Instead, Page and CLANCY are even worse for St. Louis County than we had first thought. How many additional county citizens fell ill or died of COVID-19 due to Page and CLANCY's thoughtless and short-sighted actions? Next comment is from Tom Sullivan, 751 Syracuse, University City, Missouri. Madam Chair and members of the council, I have a few things to mention. I would like to report that MSD board member Amy Fair took part in last week's meeting of the MSD board. So she now has made 2 of the last 4 board meetings and beat her record missing 2 of the last 3 meetings. Ms. Fair was appointed last year by County Executive Sam Page. There was a recent story in the Post-Dispatch about the St. Louis Municipal Finance Corp. Not going ahead with the city's bonds for the $175 million convention center expansion, which was the prudent thing to do. The story tells of Kitty Ratcliffe, the CEO of the Convention and Visitors Commission, complaining about the delay. Never mind that we are in one of the most severe economic situations this area and this country has ever experienced. The story also told of the CVC going to get $5 million from the bonds for the commission. How could this happen? I thought the bonds were only for the convention center expansion, not to keep the gravy train going at the CVC. Last year, Elliot Davis reported that Kitty Ratcliffe was making $357,000 a year, but a 20% cut in salary has been imposed, and now poor Kitty has to scrape by on only $285,000 a year. According to the story, County Council members were calling the CVC to express their support for the expansion, saying the county executive wanted the project done. This is another example of Sam Page and County Council members backing the interests of their campaign contributors rather than the people of St. Louis County. Thank you for listening to my comments. The next public comment is from Kent Patel. Subject: in support of immediate opening of St. Louis County parks. Exhaust from lawnmower or secondhand smoke near someone you didn't know had asthma. Medicine you flushed down the drain. Backyard fireworks of dubious safety launched in your neighborhood. An STD during a night of passion. The shellfish in the dish you prepared to which a coworker could be allergic. Each of us, each of you, has at some point in the past made a potential negative impact on the health of your fellow citizens. These normal everyday acts pose acceptable risks in a modern society as long as the acts are not done to intentionally bring harm. But now the county executive, by executive order, has deemed it illegal to unintentionally bring harm by simply conducting ourselves in public in an otherwise legal manner, and solely because there is a slight potential that expulsion of aerosols in our breath may contain SARS-CoV-2, a virus that could become injurious to an unhealthy neighbor unlucky enough to ingest a germ accidentally projected from that breath. How is this justified? I hope we can agree that antisocial distancing cannot continue forever. What is required, therefore, is a public plan by which citizens of South County can get their lives back. A plan with specific actions to be taken to lift these onerous restrictions based on specific milestones and done on specific dates. A plan that defines what the end goal is, when it is desired to be achieved, what actions will be taken, and how progress will be monitored. Simply asking for more time to wait for more data is no longer acceptable. You have suspended our liberty under the shaky pretense that the loss of the livelihoods and freedoms of the many outweighs postponing the deaths of a few. You didn't give us a chance to vote on this dire proposition, and you didn't allow our representatives to vote on it either. So how shall the king work with his people to effect his fiat? Begin with a good faith effort to show us that you understand our plight. Begin with the very reasonable step of opening our wonderful St. Louis County parks. Let us begin to get social again in public, freely and without fear and without legal penalty. We believe our council representatives can help fashion a plan, but do it and do it now. You owe us that much. Also from Jeff Lowry, Business Moving in a Residential Area. My name is Jeff Lowry and I live at 7186 Christopher Drive, 63129. I am reaching out to all of you regarding property address 6190 Christopher Drive, my immediate neighbor to the south. It has come to the attention of people in the neighborhood in the last 3 to 4 weeks that this property was sold to a business called Monte Nido that is a treatment facility for individuals with eating disorders. I have made a couple of phone calls to the county offices and been told that lawyers for the county interpreted an eating disorder as a disability, and as such, this loophole, as I will call it, allowed the purchase to go through. So I do not need that to be repeated to me. I have spent some time researching this business and finding what they do to be impressive and admirable in their attempts to aid people with eating disorders. Let me be very clear, I have nothing but the utmost sympathy for individuals dealing with this situation, and I myself have had friends deal with them in the past. That being said, it is a business that charges privately and or through insurance. Their website lists a CEO, COO, CFO, and medical director, among others, just as all businesses do. Businesses do not have a place in a residential area such as exists down here off of Christopher. I would imagine they have attempted to open in multiple regions around the country only to be shut down. Looking at their website, their business model allows for 8 to 12 clients at any one time, not to mention a day program where other clients would also be participating after discharge from the residential in-house program. Number in day program, not clearly stated. They also encourage alumni, as they call the clients that have finished with the program, to come back and visit whenever they want. A quote from one of the videos I watched, in addition to family or friends coming to visit while in the program. I cannot even imagine the amount of increased vehicular and foot traffic that will come along with this many people coming and going, and there is absolutely no street parking available on Christopher, which means an obvious parking lot will have to be placed in front of the home. Trust me, no room on side or back, as River Bluff is behind the home.
Madam Chair, continuing constituent comments. This is from Leah Friesmeyer, 806 Delhurst Drive, Manchester, Missouri. Excuse me. I'm trying to figure out why our county executive, Dr. Sam Page, has the authority to shut down our county parks. Is it written somewhere in the laws of the county? Why is he the only person to make this decision? This should have been made by the voters. So people are supposed to stay home with the only place to walk around being their subdivision or streets and not enjoy nature. Does he think that people are stupid enough not to walk 6 feet away from one another? The crime may have gone down, but the domestic violence is going up. Wouldn't it be nice if the people had a park or to maybe let off steam or try to help control their stress? If a St. Louis County resident does not own a vehicle and the park they walk to is closed, how are they able to enjoy nature? So did Dr. Page feel he had to copy the city, or was he afraid he would be driven out of town like the Democrats did to the governor? I did not vote for Stenger, and I definitely will not be voting for Dr. Page. I want part of our freedom back that he has taken away. It's bad now that our children aren't getting a proper education because they're being taught online. How many are actually paying attention? Now we don't have the right to enjoy our parks. Following comment from Jason Myers, 10702 Lisa Marie Court, St. Louis, Missouri. Dear County Council members, I was pleased to hear that some of the council members have requested certain parks reopen. I would like to encourage the council, the county executive, and the Parks Department director to reopen the parks and trail as much and as soon as possible. There are a variety of reasons for such, which I am sure all parties are considering. In addition, Social distancing safety measures could be put in place to help ensure everyone's safety without closing all parks completely. Further, I would ask that trails be reopened as well, even if it's just for cycling or running, both of which lend themselves to social distancing. People need fresh air and exercise, especially during this time. Thank you for your time and again for your consideration on this topic. Following comments from William Sullivan, 5130 Carriage Trace Drive, St. Louis, Missouri. It was with great dismay that I read the county executive page wants to extend the shutdown 2 more weeks. Can someone please explain what it is supposed to accomplish aside from inflicting additional financial hardship to those of us who are self-employed and deemed non-essential by the powers that be? While some large cities have been hit hard, several studies suggest that the infection and mortality rate of coronavirus is comparable to a bad flu year, like we had in 2012, which did not prompt such draconian measures. Or is this useless extension being considered just because the city of St. Louis wants it and we are all supposed to be in this together? And exactly what is the statistical litmus test that is supposed to tell us it's okay to restart our lives? That may be a rhetorical question because I don't think there is any defined criteria. Instead of more grandstanding and endless update meetings to rehash current infection rates and body counts, why don't we do that every year for the common flu? The council needs to invest time and effort to create a comprehensive exit strategy to get the county opened again for business, regardless of what the city decides to do or not to do. St. Louis City does not pay your bills, we do. In the city's defense, I must admit that at least the parks stayed open. Shutting down the parks and bike trails was pretty heavy-handed, especially after all the advice to be sure to get out and have daily exercise. Thank you for the opportunity to participate electronically. Following comments from David Workman, 48 Beaver Drive, Creve Coeur, Missouri. While I certainly understand the need to be vigilant in regards to COVID-19 and preventing the spread of the virus, especially to the elderly and sick, those at risk the most, the CDC and others have noted that we are now on the backside of this pandemic and it is time to get our economy back up and running. Normal probably won't return for some time, if ever, but we should at least begin to reopen business and put people back to work to provide for their families. Please consider lifting restrictions, opening the parks, and encouraging businesses to reopen in the coming days. Without this action, families all over the metro area will continue to suffer economic hardship. Thank you. Following comments from Ron and Linda Krenning, 720 Christopher Drive. To whom it may concern, just uncovered and learned about a new business going in next to our home over 40 years and only 30 feet from our deck, where they have 2 decks and a walkout looking over us where my wife relaxes, adding her recent discovery of breast cancer and has privacy and peace and quiet now. This is threatened with a strange unwanted noises of traffic sounds of suppliers and staff, plus constant flow of people. Now, I understand the absence of the last 3 months of my once friendly neighbor and told him and his realtor, Deb, if the neighbors were aware of this, would they be adamantly opposed to this venture? For the sake of our normal neighborhood, help us. Would you like this next door to you? We need help. Sincerely, Ron and Linda Krenning. It's 7200 Christopher Drive. Next citizen comment is from Melanie Broyles, 17621 Sandria Drive, 63005. As a small business owner, I have been encouraged by the news in other states and communities about plans coming out to open businesses and restart economies. I've seen nothing from St. Louis County, and I would like to see some focus and a plan that shows a balance between medical concerns and the economic concerns. A plan has to look at both sides. The map showing cases in St. Louis County is misleading and seems to be focused on fear instead of facts. Why didn't we post cases as actual numbers? St. Louis City was very transparent with their map. According to the data on the site, our cases have been decreasing from 147 on 410 to 80 on 411 to 29 on 412 and to 45 on 413. With the decrease showing, that would indicate a slowing down of cases, and we should be hearing plans to restart our economy. This is what leaders are elected to do, Dr. Page. If you do not have all the answers, please surround yourself with not only medical experts, but economic experts and business leaders. We need real leadership to address the medical and economic concerns. Citizen comment from Gregory O'Neill, 16181 Surf View Court, Wildwood, Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen of the St. Louis County Council and Supervisor, when are we going to open our economy? I ask because as taxpaying citizen of the country, if St. Louis is very disheartening to hear the stories of our many small businesses that depend on our economy opening up so they may pay their help, mortgage, or rent and become a stable business again in the metropolitan area. It is a very sad day when our local leaders appear to be slacking off in their responsibilities to citizens they are supposed to be supporting. Other cities and counties throughout the United States have already been planning and showing signs of engaging and opening up their economy. Why are you standing still? You owe each and every business owner and citizen an explanation why plans are not in the works to open our economy and support your constituents. This to me and many voters looks like a deliberate lack of due diligence in your part. This will be remembered when your re-elections come due. Again, the other issue is an utter failure to post a transparent map of the virus itself throughout the area. What are you people doing with your time? I'm sorry to sound so negative, but I have many friends that depend on you, so-called community leaders, to do your job professionally and expeditiously. It appears to all concerned that you have no sense of urgency at all. If this continues, I feel there will be some county council members and a county supervisor very disappointed come voting time. Thank you very much for reading not only my comments, but many thousands of county voters. Sincerely, Gregory O'Neill. Madam Chair, completes the citizen comments.
That concludes public forum. Please proceed with introduction of bills.
Thank you. Bill number 99, introduced by Council Members Days and Clancy, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart the sum of $66,436.08 from the unappropriated balance of the General Revenue Fund and the sum of $76,793.35 from the unappropriated balance of the Transportation Trust Fund, all in support of payments required by the Northland, Grassl Plaza, and Country Club Hills redevelopment plan agreements. Bill number 100, introduced by Councilmember Clancy, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $2,000 from the Missouri Family Health Council, appropriating the same for support of the Department of Public Health's purchase of a one-year subscription to a telehealth video conferencing service to assist in providing patient care, and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Bill number 101, introduced by Councilmember Clancy, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart the amount of $154,000 from the unappropriated balance of the general fund for support of necessary repairs to a public elevator at the Buzz Westfall Justice Center. Bill number 102, introduced by Councilmember Dunaway, an ordinance authorizing St. Louis County, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds, Johnstone Supply Project, Series 2020, in a principal amount not to exceed $4,500,000 for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, and improving an industrial development project in the county, approving a plan for the project, and authorizing the county executive and director of administration to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds. Bill number 103, introduced by Councilmember Clancy, ordinance appropriating and setting apart the sum of $7,050,000 from the unappropriated balance of the Health Fund for supportive costs associated with the county's efforts to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic in St. Louis County. Bill number 104, introduced by Councilmember Clancy, an emergency ordinance establishing a special revenue fund, providing for the deposit and appropriation of funds received pursuant to the coronavirus aid, Relief, and Economic Security (CARES Act), providing further for the expenditure of such funds for purposes relating to the public health emergency created by COVID-19, providing further for the creation of a compliance program, and declaring an emergency. Madam Chair, that is all the bills.
Madam Chair, before we proceed with perfection, Madam Chair, before we move on to perfection, I would like to be heard with respect to bills 104, 103, and 104.
Councilman Tracus.
I have serious questions and concerns with respect to this legislation in both bills. I agree with the county executive completely. These are important, significant, and trying times. At the same time, this body has an obligation to make sure that we operate as transparently as possible and that the public is as involved as possible with respect to how we spend their money. With respect to Bill 104 in particular, there are a number of questions regarding whether or not the council retains appropriation authority of the CARES fund after they're received based on communication as received from the county councilor. So I believe we need to hear from the county councilor's office. Received from the county executive. We need to hear from the county councilor's office with respect to that issue. And there are other questions articulated in the communication regarding how the monies will be spent. I agree with the county executive. There is a disproportionate need amongst members of our community that are, I guess the best way to put it, hardworking and yet subsist at or near the poverty level. I have many in my district. So again, there has to be some clarification with respect to the intent of the monies, where they're going to be spent. I'm sure other councilmen have the same concerns I do in that regard. So I would ask at this point, Madam Chairwoman, that since these bills are only introduced tonight, that we have time to schedule a committee of the whole with respect to Bill 103 and 104. And so we can hear from the various individuals that will be responsible for handling these monies and distributing them.
Councilman Tracus, I hear your request. Councilman Tracus, I hear your request. And I want to remind everyone that we are in a public health emergency. We need to get more tests out in the community. And the sooner that we do that, the sooner that we can open up our economy again. We'll not be taking any further action on these items until next week. Everyone has an equal opportunity to do their due diligence in order to get the information they need to be able to move on this next week. So I would encourage you to speak with our budget director, fellow council members, our county executive's office on this, but I intend to move forward on these this week. This is an emergency and we have a responsibility to deploy resources in the community as quickly as possible. With that, we will move on with perfection of bills.
Madam Chair.
Just one more thing. I just want to add that I hear you and I respect your decision. That said, I do believe that the public has a right to hear from these people through a committee of the whole. And to hear from their leaders in government, whether it's a county council or Department of Public Health, whatever it may be. There's no rush on this legislation. It's going to be at least a week before any attempted final passage, likely 2 weeks. So I've stated my case. I thank you for the opportunity.
Madam Chairwoman.
Councilman Harder, we are going to move on to perfection right now. Madam Clerk, please proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 20, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold.
Bill number 20 held.
Bill number 5, introduced by Council Members Fitch, Tracus, and Harder.
I move to hold Bill number 5.
Bill number 5 is held.
Bill number 32, introduced by Council Member Tracus.
I move to hold bill number 32.
Thank you.
Bill number 32 is held.
Bill number 36, introduced by Council Member Fitch.
I move to hold Bill number 36.
Bill number 36 is held.
Bill number 76, introduced by Council Members Dunaway and Harder.
I move to hold Bill number 76.
Bill number 76 is held.
Bill number 95, introduced by Council Member Clancy.
Move to perfect Bill number 95. Is there a second?
Councilwoman Gray.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 95 is perfected.
Bill number 96, introduced by Council Member Clancy.
I move to perfect Bill number 96.
Second.
Second. Councilwoman Gray.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 96 is perfected.
Bill number 97, introduced by Council Member Days.
I move to perfect Bill number 97.
Second.
Second from Councilman Tracus, I believe I heard.
Yes. Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 97 is perfected.
Bill number 98, introduced by Council Member Clancy.
I move to perfect Bill number 98.
Second. Councilwoman Gray.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 98 is perfected. I move to advance Bill number 98 to the final passage order of business. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Council Member Days.
Aye.
Council Member Dunaway.
Aye.
Council Member Fitch.
Aye.
Council Member Gray.
Aye.
Council Member Clancy.
Aye.
Council Member Tracus.
Aye.
Council Member Harder.
Aye.
Madam Chair, on the motion to advance Bill number 98, the final passage order of business, there are 7 ayes.
Please read the bill for final passage.
Bill number 98, introduced by Council Member Clancy.
I move for final passage of Bill number 98. Is there a second?
Second. Councilman Tracus.
Roll call.
Council Member Days.
Aye.
Council Member Dunaway.
Aye.
Council Member Fitch.
Aye.
Council Member Gray.
Aye.
Council Member Clancy.
Aye.
Council Member Tracus.
Aye.
Council Member Harder.
Aye.
Madam Chair, on Bill number 98, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 98 is finally passed. Moving on to final passage.
Bill number 320, introduced by Council Member Clancy.
I move to hold Bill number 320. Bill number 320 is held.
Substitute Bill number 2 for Bill number 385, introduced by Council Member Dunaway.
To hold substitute Bill number 2 for Bill number 385.
Second.
Substitute Bill number 2 for Bill number 385 is held.
Bill number 14, introduced by Council Members Tracus, Days, Dunaway, Fitch, Walton Gray, Clancy, and Harder.
Move to hold bill number 14, please.
Bill number 14 is held.
Bill number 89, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move for final passage of Bill number 89.
Second.
Second from Councilman Harder. Roll call.
Councilmember Days,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch,
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy,
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Abstain.
Madam Chair, on Bill number 89, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Number 89 is finally passed.
Bill number 90, introduced by Councilmember Clancy.
Move for final passage of Bill number 90.
Second. Harder.
Roll call.
Councilmember Days,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch,
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy,
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Madam Chair, on Bill 90, there are 7 ayes.
Number 90 is finally passed.
Bill number 91, introduced by Councilmember Clancy.
I move for final passage of Bill number 91.
Second. Harder.
Call.
Councilmember Days,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch,
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy,
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Madam Chair, on Bill number 91, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 91 is finally passed.
Bill number 92, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
I move for final passage of Bill number 92.
Second, Councilwoman Days.
Roll call.
Councilmember Days,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch,
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy,
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Madam Chair, on Bill number 92, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 92 is finally passed.
Bill number 93, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
I move for final passage of Bill number 93.
Second, Councilwoman Days.
Call.
Councilmember Days,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch,
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy,
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Madam Chair, on Bill number 93, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 93 is finally passed.
Bill number 94, introduced by Councilmember Clancy.
I move for final passage of Bill number 94.
Second. Tracus.
Call.
Councilmember Days,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch,
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye. Aye.
Councilmember Clancy,
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Madam Chair, on Bill number 94, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 94 is finally passed. Moving on to resolutions.
Chair, we have no resolutions this evening, so we'll move on to unfinished business. Under unfinished business, item number 1.
The appointment will be held on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 2.
The appointments and reappointment will be held on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 3.
The appointment be held on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 4.
Appointments be held on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 5.
The appointment be held on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Moving on to new business this evening, we have one prepared order in the matter of the Director of Revenue's request to transfer all interest in certain real estate bought by him as trustee at the collector's 2002 tax sale.
I move for the adoption of order number 1.
Second, Tracus.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Order number 1 is adopted. That brings us to the end of our agenda this evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chairwoman, can I make a statement?
Go ahead,
Chairwoman.
Councilman Harder.
Yes, on the issue of Bill number 103 and 104, I think it's prudent that we at least get some better information than what was presented 15 minutes before the meeting. I would like to make a motion that we have a committee of the whole between now and next Tuesday, preferably Friday or Monday, especially if this is going to be rushed through next Tuesday. So I think it would be prudent that we take a motion, and I make a motion that we have a committee of the whole on either Friday or Monday of this coming week for this matter.
Councilman Harder, as I said to Councilman Tracus before, I hear your request. I want to reiterate that this is a public health emergency. We need to move swiftly. There is ample opportunity for council members to get the information they need in order to make an informed decision about this, and I encourage everyone to do so. It is not something that we do to allow council members to make a motion for a hearing. So I will return to where I was before. I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Madam Chair, for the record, I will second Councilman Harder's motion.
We are
Would
trying to
entertain a motion to adjourn tonight.
Adjourn.
There's a motion on the
Is there a
table.
second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any
Not
opposed?
going to turn.
No.
No.
I believe I heard 4 folks in favor of adjourning the meeting.
Request a roll call.
3 opposed.
Roll
We will
call
do a
vote.
roll call.
Councilmember Days,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch,
Before I vote, I'd like to remind everybody in the public, this is $7 million. It's
Councilman Fitch, that is out of order. We are
Okay.
voting right now.
all right. I already said it. So it's $7 million and I vote no.
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy,
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus,
No.
Councilmember Harder.
This is a big vote, and I vote no.
We are voting to adjourn our meeting right now. The meeting is adjourned. I hear 4 in favor, 3 opposed. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
I
you.
would like to also thank, again, this,
The meeting's adjourned. The meeting's adjourned.
Adjourn now.
Meeting's adjourned.
And our clerk, Diane. We had a much smoother technology experience.
Different rules for you.
Thank you.
Different rules for you.